The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Hey everyone, this is James from Cave Dweller Music. Thanks for joining us again today. I have my co-host Brendan with me, and today we are joined by Bryan Funck from the legendary sludge drone doom metal act Thou. I'm sure you've all heard of them. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, anytime.
For anyone who isn't familiar with you, what do you do in the band?
I sing in the band. I handle all the design stuff.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I would start by saying, let's talk about some of the albums you put out, but the list is literally insane of stuff that we could talk about. Absolutely epic discography that you guys have amassed since 2005.
Yeah, we need to shout our big mouths, I think.
I don't think so. I think everyone's pretty happy with the output level that you guys are on. We'd like to talk maybe about some of the latest ones that you guys have done. How did the collaboration with Ruth Rundle come about? Because everyone's been a big fan of that work.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, the Emma thing, we were fans of hers, and basically she was just on a short list of people we wanted to just get on a song or two or something, or do something with us. And this was probably coming right off of when we did the acoustic record, Inconsolable. So we were kind of thinking in those terms about doing another one of those records. And then I think Roadburn maybe came up at some point, and they were trying to get us to do multiple sets. And at the time, the suggestion from Walter was to do some kind of collaborative set. And so for us, we were just trying to like basically tour with Emma, do like a little tour with Emma. And so when the Roadburn thing came up, it was sort of like a carrot for us to sort of like convince her, oh, why don't we do this thing together, and we can go play Roadburn together. Well, since we're gonna go play Roadburn, we might as well like tour for a couple weeks ahead of time to like, you know, get the set down and blah, blah, blah. And more or less it was just like an excuse for us to, you know, get her to come out and hang out with us and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And the end result was absolutely awesome. Everyone I've spoken to loves that album because it's just so different to anything else that you guys have done and anything she's done. So it was a great fusion of the two sounds.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it was. I think with any of those collaboration records, it's like you have to kind of figure out the other person a little bit, you know, or the other band or whatever. And like really the best stuff was kind of happening at the end. So I think like if we did, you know, whether it be with her or Body or Mizmor or whoever, like the second thing you do is always like the better stuff, because then you sort of like figured each other's writing styles and like playing out a little bit, and can kind of, you know, write to that.
Right.
Play to that.
Right. Yeah. I change this next time and stuff like that, or how about we try this differently?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I think if we ever did something with her again, it would hopefully it would be better, because I think we'd be a little bit more comfortable with each other at this point.
That makes sense. And then you mentioned one of my other favorite collaborations that you did with Mizmor. That album absolutely blew me away. I know a lot of people that said that was on their album of the year list, so you guys smashed it with that one. Oh
yeah, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, we've known Liam for forever, so it was like, you know, an easy thing for us. That whole like Salem, Oregon scene for us has been like super influential. And yeah, I don't know. Liam's a solid dude, so we were kind of just talking about stuff, so it kind of just made sense to take it, you know, as far as we could.
Right. I think your styles kind of really complement each other, because you brought that sort of more atmospheric side of things, and you brought the heavy sort of fuzz, and the two really married very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's been a minute since we did that record, but I think he was the one bringing the really like riffy stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I at least at first maybe, and then basically him and Andy wrote, you know, in terms of like the riffs and the song structures, kind of wrote the bulk of it, you know, aside from kind of what we were kind of hashing out in the practice space. And then I think it's like once he started like coming up with certain things, that was like egging Andy on to like step up to what Liam was bringing to the table.
Right.
I mean, we for Thou, we kind of looked at it as like a like bringing it back to like the tyrant or peasant era for us. Really, the peasant stuff, like just like riffs, a lot of riffs, rather than sort of like our self-indulgent meandering kind of stuff. So we were just really kind of trying to lean into like the like boneheaded metal, like doomy metal stuff, because we haven't really done that in like such a straight up way in so long. So it was fun.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed like you guys had chemistry on the album. That was definitely like you could pick up on that as a listener, that you guys were jamming together and having a good time. So I think that makes a huge difference.
Liam's an excellent writer. I mean, he's awesome. And then I was like, part of how that collaboration happened is I have this like secret studio record that I've been kind of working on off and on for like a few years now with our engineer, James Whitten. And I had tried to recruit Liam to feed me stuff for that, and then which he did, and then the conversation just kind of progressed. And I've been working on this other stuff, and I'd love to do like a collaboration thing, blah blah blah. And so we just kind of pushed for the full on collabo.
That's awesome.
It was so easy to do it too. I mean, like he brought so much stuff to the table that was like pretty fully formed, and it was like mainly just us kind of pushing things around and tweaking things.
Yeah, he's definitely an excellent songwriter. We were lucky enough to have him come on the show as well recently. So great dude, musical genius, basically.
Yeah.
I listened to his episode. What did he say in his thing? He doesn't read any books.
Yeah, he doesn't read books.
All he does is watch Lord of the Rings on repeat.
Basically, it takes him about a year to read a book, so he reads like one book a year.
Jeez. Too busy writing riffs.
Exactly. Yeah, and he just brought back that other project of his, Sorceress. They just finally brought out their the Doom project he had from so many years back. Finally had the physical copy coming out, which is awesome. Yeah, that's a good album as well.
That's the thing about all those Salem dudes, is like they're all highly prolific and have like a million different things happening. It's awesome. I mean, going for us, going back to like 2007 when we first met Leech, and like when they were doing the Woodsmoke tape label, like those guys, like that scene is insane. It's like the Scandinavian black metal of the early 90s minus all the like sketchy bits.
Right.
Yeah.
That I used to live up in Oregon. I was in Eugene, so not too far from Salem. That whole area, just there's so much amazing underground music coming out of Portland, out of Salem, Eugene, all those areas. And not just black metal, there's some great like industrial stuff as well. Just really cool place, really happening place. And then cover albums. I mean, you guys have done so many amazing covers over the years. Who gets to pick that? Is it a collaborative thing between all you guys? Do you come up with like songs each?
It's probably like a bit of like arguing and a bit of psychological warfare and cajoling and tricking. It depends on the thing. It's like all those. I think we started doing covers because we did a Nirvana cover, and then and it was on a Robotic Empire release, and then they did. They had a couple of Nirvana tribute records they put out, and so we were doing Nirvana covers for those, and it just became a thing where like anytime we do a record with Robotic Empire, there had to be a Nirvana cover on it. It just kind of became like a tradition for us. And then the other stuff is like, oh, it would be interesting to cover this, or like a split would come up or something, and we'd be like, oh, we don't have quite enough material for this, but we could cover something fun and like pad it out a little bit, or if we did a split with Great Falls where both bands were talking about doing shellac covers, and not that any of us are like super deep shellac fans, but it was like an interesting idea of doing, trying to like make something work for that. So right. I don't know. It's a lot of me, and then it's some Matthew.
Okay.
And then every now and then somebody else will come up with something interesting. Andy's definitely pulled out a few. So
Have you ever had any any that were too out there? Like you tried it and you're like, man, this just doesn't work. We can't do this track, or is it all? Do you normally make it work?
We were gonna do a Fiona Apple tribute record right around when we were recording Summit, and we actually learned like 4, 5, or 6 songs, and they just did not. They just sound super corny. Like it sounded. It sounded like we were making fun of her, and we were like, "No, we can't. We can't." It didn't sound good. And then I think we tried doing. We were playing Bulls on Parade a bit at practice, and that just never really gelled. And then we did a Duran Duran cover at a couple of shows, and it was fun, but it just wasn't exciting enough to record. It didn't really. I keep saying we could actually, if we got like Emma or somebody to sing it, we could probably make it more interesting.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I could see that. Yeah, definitely. That would make sense. So like the heavy music and then her vocals would kind of make it all balance out a little bit.
Yeah. There's definitely been stuff where we tried it and it sucked. We didn't. And there's been tons of stuff where we did it and it sucked and we did it anyway. So who knows?
Brendan, I know you had some questions about Norco.
Oh, yeah. I started playing that the other day, and I saw you guys had helped release the soundtrack to that. So how did that all come about?
Well, the guy that developed it is like one of my oldest friends in the world, and
all right.
We went on like a kind of short road trip right before COVID, and I had been trying to talk him into doing basically a music video for us for the longest time. Would have been like his sort of 8-bit animation style. Because we have a song called View of a Burning City that's like essentially about Norco, the city.
Yeah.
And he's from there. He's from Norco.
Okay.
And so it was just sort of like the perfect thing. And then the video thing sort of like evolved into something else, and then that sort of evolved into like, okay, we're gonna do this thing as part of the video game, do this soundtrack thing. And although he's still working on the content for where our songs are gonna be in the game, but I think he's trying to get it done like now, but they're working on a Xbox port or Switch port, one of those. I'm not a super video game guy, but they're doing some port for the game. It's like on one of the consoles, and so he's been jammed up with that. But yeah, hopefully soon.
Yeah, I think it was might be used for some trailers.
Yeah, they used it in the trailers, and then Googly Eye, the person that did like the bulk of the like electronic stuff, he did like a remix of one of our songs that I think is on the end credits.
Nice.
Yeah.
But normally I don't like play those kind of games, but I was just like, all right, you know what? If they're like, I got to figure this out, see what it's about. So,
dude, that game's sick. It's great. Everybody should play it.
Yeah, I just started it like a couple days ago, so I was like, you know what? Let's give it a whirl. So,
there you go. Give me a report.
Cool. Yeah, I will. I'll let you know. If I get jammed up, I'll hit you up for some help.
Yeah, I'll get you the walkthrough.
You guys have a super distinctive art style as well, like across your whole discography. Who does the artwork in all those albums?
Well, it's mostly me stealing from good artists, but it's fun. It's always funny to me when people say we have like a distinctive style, because I feel like our stuff's like all over the place. But because it's like there's woodcut stuff and there's photographs and there's drawing, there's like whatever, but
it's all like pen and ink kind of looking stuff, like
a lot of it. And we've gotten kind of into like the photography stuff in more recent years, and then we've been trying to use a lot of our friends for stuff, or people we like for stuff, whenever we have the opportunity. So like our buddy Craig Mulcahy did all the photography for the Emma Ruth Rundle records.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Craig played bass in Moloch, the UK doom band, and that's like kind of, and he lives here in New Orleans, but that's how we know him. And Ellen Jane Rogers did the photography for, or we licensed some of her photography for Magus, and we were just fans of hers. That's kind of why we reached out to her. But she's like an old punk, like anarchist type.
Nice.
So I don't know who else. Rachel Speck did the stuff for Primer, which a lot of that too is. I mean, there's some original stuff, but a lot of that is like her screen prints for stuff she does for Tropical Goth is her pseudonym or whatever. But,
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. For me, like it's kind of it's kind of all over the place. I don't know. I'm glad y'all think it's something.
I definitely see what you mean about the later stuff. I think it's just like because when you look at the Bandcamp, like if you open up the Bandcamp, it kind of has.
Yeah. I mean, the Bandcamp's all that. It's just Gustave Doré, but like that's like I'm the one sort of like designing all the layouts. I guess you'd say.
Gotcha.
Although I don't know how to do the computer work to make the things happen, so it's usually me talking somebody else who's smarter than me through what I'm trying to do or whatever. But yeah, the Bandcamp's like I've always like the way I've kind of looked at it is the different formats kind of give me different like a different real estate or different it's like a new chance to like put some visual aesthetic to the music that like sort of makes it work.
Right.
So we do a little bit less of that now, but in the past I've always tried to like change it up between like the digital stuff, the CDs and the vinyl. But and at Bandcamp I just like it looking like real uniform and like it's all one thing.
Right.
It's professional.
Yeah, it looks great. Like that. I like that.
I mean, if I could go back and part of the thing is like when I joined that, like I didn't. It was coming from other bands that the band would last like a year, maybe 2 years, and so like I didn't think it would go on for this long. So I sort of didn't have the foresight of like crafting an aesthetic for like a like a lifespan rather than like a year, a release or something. I just wasn't thinking in those terms. And I would definitely, if I had to do it over, knowing what I know now, I would definitely sort of like do something that was like even more focused, because for me, like I really like when you can like look at a record and just tell what it is, who it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that.
Like all the Iron Lung records to me, like the band, like they just have a certain part of why we were sort of drawn to Sacred Bones is because we like their sort of like their aesthetic, like that approach of like having like a look to their releases.
Right. So you joined in 2007, right?
I joined in 2007, yeah.
So how did you come to be in the band? Like how did that all happen?
I used to book shows in New Orleans for like 20 years or so, and when I came back in 2006, right after Katrina, I was kind of like looking around for more to see what heavy-ish bands were around because I'd like to do a lot of hardcore shows, I guess. Sort of slim pickings for like hardcore in New Orleans, but you could find bands that would sort of fit a little bit with these other bands. And I found Thou on MySpace, and I basically sent them a message that was like, hey, kick out that singer and let me join Thou. It'd be great. I'll scream and we'll sound like a hardcore band, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know, but Matthew, the Thudium, one of our guitar players, he was the singer at the time. They're like, oh, well, we're probably not going to kick out the singer, but blah, blah, blah. And then, because his style is like a kind of like Dax Riggs,
Okay.
like he's like more of a creep,
Mm-hmm.
And it just, and I like it now, but it just wasn't my style at the time. But
Right.
What ended up happening was I was putting out a 7-inch for Andy's other band, We Need to Talk, which is like a hardcore band.
Okay.
And I had a van at the time from my previous bands, and I was going to take them on tour. And Thou was basically like, hey, if you're still interested in singing, let's try it out. We Need to Talk is going to borrow all of our gear. They didn't have any gear, barely any gear.
Mhm.
Andy's already going on tour. You're going on the tour. We just need to, put a few more dudes in the van, and like we could just jump. You could sing. We could jump on a tour. And just try the tour. They basically wanted the tour.
Right.
And so we tried it, and we tried it at a practice, and it was after a show, and it seemed okay. And then we played a couple local shows, and they were into it, and I was super into it. They actually had. Part of the thing they said was like, oh, we just recorded this record, which was Tyrant. And they were like, the guy that recorded it, something happened, the files got corrupted, and we lost all the vocal tracks. Oh. So, you could come in and just record, if it works, you come in, we have this record already, you just come and record over it, blah, blah, blah. And, so I don't know, when I joined, we just kind of hit the ground running. Haven't really stopped since. I mean, we've taken a few breaks, but small breaks.
You came from a hardcore background. Do you think that kind of played into Thou's sound going forward after you joined?
I don't think it did much towards the sound. Probably more just towards like the lyrical content and like how I was approaching the graphic stuff, and definitely like how, because I was booking all the tours and stuff for us, how I was booking the tours, who I was booking the tours with, the kind of spaces we were playing. I mean, all those dudes, they come from like a DIY punk background too. So it's like, it's not like it was outside of, it's not, we're all from like the same thing, but like when they started Thou, they were listening to like, later ISIS and, just discovered like Caspian and like all this like post, Pelican and all this like post metal, post rock stuff. And they're doing a lot of drugs, the bulk of them. So they were like into that. They were into like doing droney stuff and doing this like sort of metal, because when they first started, there's a demo before Tyrant that's like way more like post rock sounding. And then at some point they must have discovered like Sun, and they were like, okay, we're gonna start doing like more. We're gonna lean into the metal stuff and like, not ditch the post rock stuff, but like,
tone it down,
use it a bit more sparingly. Yeah, right. And but I didn't. Geez, I don't know. I probably wasn't even giving them much input on the song, on the music. Heathen. Maybe after Heathen, even maybe Magus, somewhere in there. Other than I'll play this riff a couple more times, play it a little bit less, or why don't we change this or that? Like I wasn't having like a huge say in things. It wasn't until like maybe like the last handful of years where I've sort of like I've wanted to be there more for like the writings, because in the old days it'd be like because they all lived in Baton Rouge, which is like an hour and a half from New Orleans.
Okay.
I would basically drive up there once a week for practice.
Right.
And not quite every week, but like maybe once a month, they'd be like, all right, we got a new song. Here's the song. Blah, 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 blah. They play the song. I'd listen to it. I'd have some lyrics. Okay, which one does this kind of feel like? And then I'd kind of start moving my stuff around, whatever lyrics I had, and kind of readjusting and writing some new stuff, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe I'd get like a phone recording or something. I'd hear it and I'd kind of like mess around with it until I got my parts down. But I was basically writing to the stuff they were bringing to the table. And it's basically Matthew and Andy that handled the bulk of the writing for the bulk of Thou. Wasn't until Inconsolable, really, where Mitch started writing stuff. And then with the Emma record, KC started bringing songs up. Now it's kind of like all of us. I mean, I can't write stuff. Although the studio, we have stripped a few songs off the secret thing I'm working on to use for the new record. So I'm sort of contributing musically. I don't know how to play anything, so like I'm not. And some of them get real irritated when because my suggestions are always like, oh, this part needs to be like sadder. This part needs to be heavier. This isn't crushing enough. Like it needs more feedback. So I'm not good at like having super articulate suggestions.
Input.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know the sound though. That's what's important.
Yeah.
You know, like the whole like this is what we're going for. Well, that's it's like being like a conductor at an orchestra.
Well, I mean, Andy is definitely the conductor. And if you ever watch us live with some song that like we're having trouble playing, like if you watch him, he'll be the one like cueing people to like, oh, all right, here's the part's gonna change. All right, here it comes. Here's this thing. Do this now.
Nice.
Which I think he loves it and he hates it, but he's definitely he's the maestro.
Nice.
Well, you brought up before that you listened to the Mizmor episode and that the question about literature stood out to you. So we'll ask you the same one.
Oh, I mean, it just stood out to me because I was making. No, I mean the thing that really stood out to me is when Liam was like, "What he's like, I love tacos are my favorite food. I love the way they sit in my body."
Yeah, yeah, that stuck out to me too, actually.
Maniac.
Well, actually, Brendan does have some food questions for you, though, so we can go in that direction.
We go wherever y'all want.
If James and I were gonna swing on down, where are we getting some gumbo and a po' boy?
Y'all are talking to the wrong person because I'm vegan, so I don't eat any of the local shit. Yeah, we'd have to go to my house. We have to go to my house, and I would have to make you vegan gumbo that would blow your mind. And,
that's cool. What we got in there?
We'd probably do some fried tofu po' boy that would be like pretty insane. There's not really for that stuff. There's not really a good spot. There was I mean, in terms of where I go, there was a spot, a vegan place called Seed that had both of those things. That was pretty. Both of them were pretty good. The gumbo was like the Creole, so it was like tomato based. So it's not my style.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more like the Cajun, like the smokier gumbo or whatever.
Me too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. There, you can't walk down the street without hitting a po' boy spot. So I mean, that's easy. And like gumbo too, there's like a zillion places. I mean, that stuff that's too easy.
Yeah.
Probably going to be the same. But what about beignets? Is it the same sort of story? You can get them anywhere. They're all good, or?
I mean, it's just fried dough.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is like I can't eat the beignets here either because they a lot of those places they use egg. They pretty much all use egg in when they make the dough. But like those things too. Like when I was doing shows, I used to cook for shows, and every now and then I do beignets, and you can just get the mix. Like y'all could probably go to the grocery store and there's like a mix, and there's one called like French Quarter mix, and one called there's probably like a Cafe Du Monde one, probably something else, but one of them doesn't have any animal stuff in it, and it's basically just you add milk and maybe something else, and you make a dough, and it's just fried balls of dough. Super easy to make.
Okay, I have seen the Cafe Du Monde one actually sold at store, so I know what you're talking about. The little like it's like it looks like a box of flour basically.
Yeah, you should try it out. It's real easy to do.
Okay, yeah, well, because there's actually
load up on the powdered sugar.
Nice. Because I've done something similar. There's a South African dish because I'm originally from South Africa called vetkoek, and it's like a fried dough, but you can eat it savory or sweet. So it's a little it's denser than a beignet, so it's not as like light and airy, but it's good, and you can kind of pair it with anything depending on how you want to make it. Yeah,
I don't know if I've had. It's been a while since I've eaten African food, but I've seen some videos recently. That stuff looks good.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. Brendan, you got any other food related questions?
Well, I was going to ask about alligator, but
you have to restructure it.
Get the wrong
guy. It's all good. I was going to say, how did you guys get involved with doing the Volume 4 Black Sabbath?
The Magnetic Eye tribute? They reached out to us about that, and I think the same time they reached out to us about that, they were working on the Dirt one and the Alice in Chains tribute, and they were short a couple of tracks for that, so they had hit us up about Dirt too.
Nice.
I can't remember how I know those dudes. I feel like maybe one of them was like involved with booking some bands or something. I can't remember, but we just kind of sort of tangentially knew each other. But yeah, they just hit us up and asked us about it, and the money offer was good, and it was like enough where we could sort of like pay to. We basically used the money from that to like fund the Emma recording.
Nice. Because you guys didn't have it previously recorded. You were just kind of like
no.
They told you to like, this is your track, or
I can't remember. I can't remember if they were like, can you do this? We want you to do this song, or if it was like, what would you want to do off of Volume 4? I can't remember how far along it was when they asked
right.
us, but
yeah, because you've done some other Black covers, like covers. So
yeah, I mean, we did a Sabbath tribute back in the day, which was like, it's funny because like there was like a local Black Sabbath tribute show. It was like a benefit for something when I first joined that, and so we learned 4 covers for that. But I think we got on the show, and I didn't have any say in what we were learning. They just like, these are the ones we're doing, learn them. And we got on the show kind of late, so I think there wasn't, and we're trying not to repeat any songs. So like the options for what we could pick from were kind of limited. Because I know right. Matthew and Andy said like, oh well, if we we wouldn't have done this or that. But so we learned those songs like maybe like the week after that show. We went on tour. We did a West Coast tour, and whenever we toured on the West Coast, I'd schedule it to where we have it like a day off in the Bay Area, because James Whitten, the guy that records all our stuff,
yeah,
he was living in Oakland at the time. We both moved out there right after Katrina together, but he stayed out there, and he basically had like his studio set up in his apartment, my old apartment actually, in Oakland. And so I'd schedule it to where we have like a day off. And so I think on that tour, when we got out there, did it twice where we recorded in Oakland. I can't remember. I feel like that tour, we only had like, the only stuff material we had that we didn't have recorded was like those Sabbath covers, and maybe that's when we recorded Sifting, and maybe the first drone track. I can't remember. There's like a little chunk of stuff we did in Oakland, but it was 2 different tours when we came through there. But yeah. I mean, we just recorded them because we didn't have other material. We were just there, and we had the time to just go do something, and we didn't have anything else. And then we only released them because Vendetta was asking us to do something, and we just happened to have those. We had that recording. I must have mentioned it to them, and then they got real interested in it. They're not good. I mean, we fucked up those songs. Like we did not play them very well, which is why we've been like reluctant to ever repress that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, and then we did another Sabbath thing kind of recently for Sacred Bones. They did like a Sabbath tribute.
Yeah, the Dirt, them Bones cover you guys did was sick.
Oh, yeah. We at one point we were talking about doing like an Alice in Chains tribute 12-inch.
You should.
Yeah, do that. That would be awesome.
You did Nirvana,
Yeah, we're trying to like lay off the covers.
I heard that.
We're trying to not do too much of that. It's like we've done so many covers at this point. It's like,
right.
Because like, so we did the Sabbath thing, and then and at the time, we did Tyrant and a bunch of shit, and the Sabbath thing and Peasant. And then we were getting pushed on a lot of these like kind of bonehead metal shows that we were like we were just getting real frustrated with like people having a certain expectation of us being like these like hyper masculine metal dudes.
Right.
Which was why we were like wanted to do the Fiona Apple tribute. We were like, all right, fuck that. We're gonna do this fucking Fiona Apple tribute. Like, fuck them. Which is why that kind of came up, and then it just sucked, so we had to like scrap it. But yeah, there was talk at one point about doing an Alice in Chains tribute. We learned Brother, that song Brother off Sat.
Yeah.
We when we were doing the acoustic sets a bunch, we learned that for the acoustic sets, and like the unplugged version, and then
nice.
we were doing like a heavy version. We had like a full band heavy version of it too. We never recorded that. Yeah, there was some back and forth too about like, there was some arguing about what Alice in Chains. Me and Matthew are like deep in Alice in Chains, so like there's, you know, I don't know if we'd be able to like get to a point where we could agree on what to cover. Pearl Jam too. We had an idea of doing we wanted to do a double LP Pearl Jam tribute, where like one record was going to be just random Pearl Jam songs we liked, and the other one was going to be verses.
Yeah,
but in backwards, all of verses, but in backwards sequence, and we call it re-verses.
Nice.
Never got to that either. I don't know, maybe one day.
Yeah. Ani DeFranco.
No, none of us like Ani DeFranco. I would do a Tori Amos cover. I like that song, Cornflake Girls. Cornflake Girls. Yeah, but I think we got some Tori Amos haters in the house. So.
How did you guys get involved with the electricgirls.org charity?
Oh, it's a local thing. I knew some people. Yeah, I knew some people who worked over there at one point. I just think it's cool. I just think it's like a good organization.
Nice.
I mean, we're not super involved with it. I just like hype their stuff on social media whenever I can. A couple of things we've done, we just get, donated the cash to them or whatever, if there was an excuse to do that. But
gotcha.
Yeah, it's just a good, cool, interesting local thing.
Nice.
There's a girls rock camp too out here. That's real cool. I mean, there's a ton of that stuff in New Orleans. New Orleans has a ton of like activist type stuff that happens. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. No, we always like charity things and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's awesome when bands use their will and their goodwill. It's cool.
Yeah, bands should do that more. Bands should instead of posting on their Instagram about some fucking dumbass announcement they're gonna make coming up in a
coming
week.
Coming soon.
Yeah, they should be posting about like cool shit. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, nah, I think it's admirable. So I thank you guys for doing stuff like that.
Yeah, well, just trying to do our part.
We agree completely, because we do a mental health charity sampler once every year in May that we have like 50 to 80 people contribute to every year, and it's awesome to see like everyone get behind that type of thing in the metal scene.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, people are willing to like support cool stuff. You just have to put it out there. And,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to see more of our peer group using their social media platform to promote cool shit instead of like some new T-shirt design or whatever.
Right.
Yep. Less self-promotion.
This stuff's got to happen too, but you got to also
mix it up.
I mean, I guess there's like to me there's like a point where it's gratuitous.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's always like, I don't know. It always strikes me as a little corny or whatever. Like I don't even like when bands get up and we got merch in the back, blah blah blah. Like I hate that shit. It's stupid.
Right.
No shit. You got merch in the back. Like, come on.
Right. I like a lot of you see it a lot in like the hardcore band scene and whatnot. It's like, you bring in donations for like the local food pantry and things like that. Like, get a little discount off your ticket or something like that, which is like, it's real cool.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a teenager, they did a ton of like Food Not Bombs benefits. So I was coming. It'd be a lot of shows where like you could bring in canned goods and food and stuff for Food Not Bombs. You get a couple bucks off the door price or whatever.
Of course, yeah, stuff like that. It goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to ask as well. It's like, so you're obviously very in touch with the local scene where you are. Are there any sort of up and coming bands that aren't getting enough attention that people should be checking out?
I am probably a bit out of touch these days because I have a record shop, so like I'm and I work the shop basically like I'm at the shop 4 days a week, and then I'm doing stuff for the shop 2.5 other days a week.
Right.
So like I'm on like a very regimented routine with my stuff now.
Okay.
That I like. So I'm a little out of touch, but no, there's a ton of. I mean, there's Emily's Silver Godling project is incredible. MJ Guider's still doing stuff. Special Interest who's like blowing up right now. Torture Garden. It's like kind of like a punk band from here. Great. Paprika. Iron Lung just put out their tape. I think might be putting out a 7-inch. Sodomite, real good. There's an old kind of like late 90s emo band, Community, that just got back together and is like working on a new record. They put out their record from like 20 years ago, finally came out, and they're working on a new record. They're awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of shit. I mean, it's easier. I'm at the record shop, so like I at least know of all the bands like putting out stuff.
Right. What's your shop called? If anyone's listening.
Sisters in Christ.
Awesome. Okay. If anyone's ever in town, definitely hit it up. I mean, if I'm ever in town, I'll swing by it.
Come hang out. I'm here Tuesday and Friday.
Awesome. So I mean, coming up in time. So I have a question I want to ask that I ask everyone. That's like sort of an ambush question. But if you were stuck on a desert island with a solar powered Discman and only 3 CDs that you could listen to, what would they be?
3 CDs. Let's say probably A Veil, 4 a.m. Friday, Born Against, Rebel Sound of Shit and Failure, and probably a Dido. So we got to get a Dido CD in there. Probably maybe Life for Rent or a Safe Trip Home. I could do either. I don't know. Or maybe a Dido mix. Can I do a Dido mix CD of all my favorite Dido songs?
Yeah, definitely you can. Yep, that's fine.
The mix.
Yeah, you got to have something to break it up, because we've had some people come on there. It's like all 3 options are super heavy. I'm like, I think you wanted some variety in there, like just to break it up after a while.
I barely listen to anything heavy these days. I mean, being in a heavy band that tours, like, at least for me, like, turns you off. That like I started listening to like a ton of like pop country, like like current, hyper current, shitty, barely country pop music. You know, Florida Georgia Line, Blake Shelton, John Party, all this kind of crap. Because it's like a palate cleanser for like, you know, having to sit through, you know, 4 other doom metal bands in a night.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Yeah.
I hear that.
For me, that palate cleanser is like folk music, like folk world music stuff. So like between the heavy stuff I listen to, I always break it up with something like that as a palate cleanser. Exactly.
Yeah, I've been I just started digging into, Emily got me into Agnes Obel. Y'all heard her?
No.
Yeah.
She's awesome. I was listening to that for like 2 hours this morning when I came in the shop. And then Agnes Opal's really good, and Aldous Harding, you know her? Okay. She's on Matador, Rough Trade, or one of those.
Okay. Matador does a lot of good stuff.
Great. Yeah, she's sick.
Awesome.
She's from New Zealand or something. You should know about this.
That's my cousin. Brendan, before we wrap up, do you have any final questions you want to ask, or is that kind of everything covered?
I was going to ask about your favorite city to play live music in.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's been so long since we toured last year, but it was like somebody else's tour, so we didn't really have a say. And it's kind of weird because, like, you know, our shows just are not fun for us. People just tend to be very stoic at our shows, so there's not and it wasn't always like this. There were definitely places you could play where it was like there was a good energy and it was wild and fun. But those it's like I can't point to a city really and say that anymore, because it's just not like that. Like maybe the one place we could probably go back to, and it's always fun, is Salem, Oregon.
Okay.
We've played there pretty sure every single West Coast tour we've ever done, and I think that's like we're gonna make it a point to play there every time we play the West Coast. And mostly it's been like house shows and tattoo parlors. Nice. And it's awesome. Great. Actually, like the house space we first started playing at, Burial Grounds, which all those dudes, you know, either lived at or, you know, played over there, whatever. They were supposed to have a fest in the next, like, I think the 30th of this month. But it wasn't working out, so they ended up scrapping it. But it would have been like the 10-year or maybe like the 15-year Burial Grounds anniversary or something, BG Fest. So I don't know. I hope they keep doing stuff over there, because that was an awesome spot. But I don't know. It's like, we played like really killer shows in Baltimore and Boston and New York and blah blah blah. But I don't know. Our crowd right now, I don't know if they're too old or we're too boring. But it's been very like restrained and stoic.
So you're not the first person to say that, actually. We've actually had a lot of people on the show say that they've noticed that as a trend in the last few years, that people have been a lot calmer, a lot less like excited at shows. And I've noticed it specifically since COVID. Like since COVID happened and gigs have kind of come back, there's a lot less like circle pits, like walls of death, that type of stuff. People aren't touching each other as much or moving around as much.
Well, it's funny because it's like from the handful of like hardcore shows I've been to and seen, the opposite's true. It's wilder than ever. Like I went and saw
yeah, man.
I went and saw Gel a couple months ago, and it was like
nice.
And I kind of got stuck up in the front, and I had flip flops on. I was like, my toes are gonna be fucking broken. But it was wild. But like our shows just aren't like that anymore. And I don't know, maybe I'm not like a hype man. I'm never gonna be like I want to see some fucking blood out there. Like I'm never gonna be doing that shit. So like, whatever. Like I don't know. Maybe our songs are not the right stuff for that sort of thing. But I don't know. They used to be. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's you guys. I think it's a reflection of the scene itself and how things have kind of been changing in that direction lately. Let me put this out there. Like, if things don't change for us soon, like, we are going to be way less inclined to, like, tour or even play shows. Because it's like, the shows are, like, even when there's a good crowd, blah, 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 like, they're so fucking boring. It's, like, so sad and boring to, like, look at a sea of blank faces or, like, cell phones. Like, It just sucks. It's not I have it, like shows are like awkward and weird enough, but it's like when people make it even more weird and awkward for me, like it just sucks. So I don't know. We'll see. we're the record we're working on right now is like, we'll see what it ends up being, but like ostensibly we're trying to write more like sort of like mid-tempo stompers. So
okay,
all right,
see if that livens things up a little bit.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking the time so much. Thanks for coming on the show. And just for anyone who's listening, like, where are the best places to follow the band and pick up your music?
We've got like 5 or 10 different Instagram accounts, 3 or 4 Twitters. Pretty easy to find us on social media, I guess. Picking up the music, you can order it straight from me, Sisters in Christ. That's essentially straight from the band. Or from any of the labels, Sacred Bones, Gilead Media, Thrill Jockey, Robotic Empire, Sludge stuff. So like, yeah, they all carry our stuff. The Business in Anacortes. Y'all know Anacortes up there in Washington, upstate Washington?
No, I haven't been up there.
Oh, you got to go. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Oh, really?
But those folks, Nick and Evie run a record shop and do a little bit of distribution. And so they distribute all our records. So they're real easy to get from them.
Nice.
Our stuff's easy to get. Whatever. If you can't find it, hit me up. I'll respond.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming on, and we really appreciate it. Anyone listening at home, tune in next week, and we will have another guest.